Chris, it's time to wake up now. You have to go to school. Remember, you're going on a trip in the woods today, Mom told me. So up I went. I ate my breakfast, took a shower, brushed my teeth, and got ready for the school trip to the forest. We had to stay there overnight. It was some kind of team building trip so that we would get to know each other better. I finished packing my bag and took off. My mother was so kind to drive me since I had a big bag to carry. When I got to the school, a bus was waiting for us. Everybody was excited. It was early in the morning, so everybody was still a little bit tired but still excited. We drove for about an hour to a big forest, and there were no cities nearby. When we arrived, we started making ourselves comfortable and unpacked our stuff and set up our tents. I was supposed to sleep in a tent with my two best friends from the class. My friend Jason, he was a boy who loved action and excitement. He was not afraid of anything. Hey Chris, are you down for a trip into the darker side of the forest when they're sleeping? He said. I had my doubts about going into the forest without the teachers knowing about it. Ah, come on man, don't be a pussy Chris. He convinced me at the end. There was no way I would be called a pussy the rest of the year. So after we sat down with our friends around the campfire, telling scary stories, the others went to bed. Now it's time to have some fun, Jason said. So we started walking away from the camp.
And there we were, all alone. The only thing we could hear were our own footsteps and the frightening sound of owls and wolves. I felt very uncomfortable. It didn't seem right. The moon was not shining, and there were not so many stars as there usually would be, and not even a sight of an airplane. Everything seemed so unrealistic. My feet were moving, but I could not feel it. My mind was somewhere else. Suddenly, I heard a branch break. I looked down. It was just me. But where was I? And the most important, where was Jason? I had been wandering for so long that I had no idea about time nor place. I saw an opening not far away from where I was. It may just be because I was cold and found myself without a place to stay, but for some reason I walked straight over there and went down inside the cave. The opening to the cave collapsed as I walked inside, just as, just like you would anticipate from such a horrific scenario. Of course, I was creeped out since this was the stuff you see in movies, but you would never expect it to happen in real life. The cave was lit up by small figurines. It seems kind of cozy at first, but then it made me think, who keeps them lit? Is someone else here? There was just a single small room in the cave, and there was no sign of anyone else being here, other than the figurines. Since I had no choice but to stay here overnight and wake myself out tomorrow, I took my time moving closer to the figures. It was all the characters from the Bible I've ever heard of. As I worked my way down the room, I noticed a chest at the back wall of the cave. A half-rotted note was scripted at the top.
The only words that were left was at the third day. I had heard something like that before, but I couldn't just remember when. A little red Jesus lay on top of the chest. This whole scenario seemed so familiar. I picked up the Jesus figurine. Now the red light turned stronger. My hand squeezed harder and harder around the figurine, and for all I just tried to let go of it. I began feeling dizzy. I fell down to my knees, my hand on my forehead. I tried to focus. Suddenly the chest lid slipped to the side. I could feel the dust and smell from the chest. I came to my senses. The smell of death filled the room. Then a nailed hand came up from the chest and I passed out.
I woke up in the tent, Jason at my side. Where did you go, Jason? Was the first thing I could say as I opened my eyes. What are you talking about? Jason looked at me strangely. Last night, when we were out in the woods. Chris, you have slept for 3 days. We were never out. I know I said, but we chose to stay home. Don't you remember any of this? Well, I didn't. I guess I was just sleeping. But for 3 days? Don't worry, I covered you. I told the teachers you were just feeling homesick and wanted to stay in the tent. I got up trying to separate my dreams from reality. 3 days of sleeping really makes you makes your breath smell bad. I opened my bag and looked for a toothbrush. I went through all of my stuff when I suddenly stumbled over something different. I pulled it out of the bag. I couldn't believe it. I was looking at that red, lit, crucified Jesus.